That place. Eden means a place of pleasure. So what does all this represent? But then the snake could represent the original India, which is where Eden
is on the west.
And what's in the west? America. It's on the maps. I've said to you before that they used to call America India, and India of today and Pakistan were called Hindustan. So what we're saying to you is
these maps have changed.
These maps have changed.
How many times?
And when you call people a people, it basically changes. Now, with genetic mapping, scientists reached their conclusions after analysing DNA samples from 200 Khoisan people, an ethnic group living in modern-day South Africa and Namibia known to carry a high portion of a branch of a DNA known as LO. Researchers then combined their DNA samples with geographical distribution, archaeological and climate change data to come up with a genomic timeline that suggested a sustained lineage of LO, stretching back 200,000 years. Their work created a kind of genetic map, tracing LO lineage to show that prehistoric humans lived in the region for about 70,000 years before they dispersed throughout the world. They're saying that gene is found in people today who they class as humans of today. So for any of you that didn't watch yesterday's video, here's a snippet.
That's right, the first resident Britons were black.
10,000 years ago, Britons would have been black.
The etymology of the word. Latin Africa. African land, Libya, the Carthaginian territory, the province of Africa. Africa as a continent. A word of uncertain origin. Lies. The Latin word originally was used only in reference to the region around modern Tunisia. It gradually was extended to the whole continent. Derivation from a Phoenician cognate of Arabic, a far dust earth, is tempting America people. Anywho, so we scoot down and there are other words associated with it. Let's go back to African. Old English Africanus, native or inhabitant of Africa. From the Latin Africanus, Africa, African, used of white residents of Africa from 1815. Of, not by. Now, I'm probably butchering this, but I'll try to be a Viking. Old Norse, bleg, actually means white, when it especially meant one brought from Africa and sometimes was contrasted to native-born Negro. I've got some stuff about Negroes and where they're from. As an adjective by 1560s pertaining to Africa or Africans, Old English had Afrikanisc from 1722 as of or pertaining to black Americans. So if we scoot down some more, we come to Old World. So let's read that. 1712, belonging to a prehistoric age. See Old plus World, meaning of or pertaining to Eurasia. You like being British to yeah. Eurasia. Yeah. And Africa, as opposed to the Americas by 1877. The noun phrase Old World in this sense is by 1590s. The division of the earth into Old World and New World among Europeans dates to 1503, and Italian explorer Amerigo Vespucci's use of Latin Mundus Novus for the lands of the Western Hemisphere found by Columbus and others, indicating they were not part of Asia. Come on, African Americans, wake up! It's about Britain and America, sky and earth. From here, and come here if you want to in your own time. I always suggest don't just take it from me, come and check yourself. Okay, so here we go. Assimilationist, one who advocates racial or ethnic interrogation. 1900s, originally in reference to Hawaii and possessions obtained by the US in the war against Spain, later with the reference to Jews in European nations. See assimilation plus ist. In Portuguese, assimilado, literally assimilated. Past participle or assimilar was used as a noun of natives of the Portuguese colonies in Africa who were admitted to equal rights and citizenship. Assimilis. And so I must speak of this emperor, who I know didn't do right by everybody. Nevertheless, to prove my point of why I put that picture up of Yorkshire earlier, he was born in the Haraj province, or I should say his bloodline, which was also in Venezuela, because sometimes when tribes are exiled or they move, their names move with them.
Probably the first African leader to be treated by white men as an equal. Now, in his old age, he's practically the incarnation of the history of our time. In Europe, the bloodiest of modern wars was being fought with tanks, machine guns and poison gas. But here, the centuries rolled back as if to King Henry at Agincourt, or Richard losing his crown at Bosworth Field.